ENGWE contacted me a few weeks back and they said, we want you to review the ENGWE X20 e-bike. And I did some research on it, and this is a really solid bike. So I asked them to send it to me. So far, I've reviewed a little more than a half a dozen e-bikes, and for the most part, all of them have had 750 watt motors. And this motor is pretty much the same thing, and it peaks out at 1000 watts. Besides that, just like the M20 model that ENGWE sells, this has a dual battery system. So you have a battery inside of here. And if you can see, this has a folding mechanism, which I think is kind of pointless, to be honest with you. And the only reason why there's a folding mechanism is to store the battery. Otherwise, I don't think anybody would fold this bike and store it away. It still takes up a lot of space. But anyway, there's another battery inside of the seat post. Unfortunately, a key is required to open up the seat post, so I really can't open it for you guys. But this goes up all the way. The kind of people that would enjoy riding this bike a lot would probably be some really big and tall people. As an example, this handlebar, it extends upwards about 7 inches, and then of course the seat itself extends up at least another 5 to 7 inches. So if you're a tall guy or girl, definitely recommend this. But anyway, this folding mechanism houses a 14.4 amp hour battery, and then in the rear this houses a 7.8 amp battery. This battery stays on all the time, and then this one is switched on independently. If you want to charge the batteries, you have to do it one at a time. From 0 to 100%, you're talking 14 hours total. Ouch. And they only give you one charger, which is a 2 amp charger. So 7 hours to fully charge this, and I'm assuming about 7 hours to fully charge this as well. I could be wrong, but if they gave us 2 chargers, it would make it easier for me to tell you guys exactly. As far as the frame is concerned, this is an all aluminum frame. However, the bike is very heavy. I think it's close to 100 pounds. On their website, it says that it weighs under 90 pounds, but I think it's a little bit more than that. I could be wrong. If somebody has a scale and they've weighed it before, leave a comment down below. Besides that, there is a seat that you can put here, but quite honestly, I think that seat is like pointless, because check this out. If you're sitting here, right, the other person's butt is going to be right on your chest, and it's not like they're going to sit all the way in the front. Their butt is going to be like literally on your chest, so it's going to be uncomfortable to sit. I think the way I have it right now is better, because you can put a crate here, like a milk crate, and carry stuff like groceries and whatnot. This bike is definitely a bike that you use to haul stuff with. It's probably a workhorse when it comes to hauling stuff and doing deliveries and whatnot. Other things about the bike, you have hydraulic front and rear brakes, and then it also has hydraulic front shocks. Of course, standard like all other e-bikes, you get front and rear tail lights, and then you get 2 additional shocks. You have an air shock in the rear. Actually, you have 2 air shocks in the rear. Check this out. This is amazing. So 2 air shocks in the back. As an FYI, this has 3 different modes. So right now we're in normal mode, but this also has a sport mode. The one negative thing about the sport mode is if you ride it in sport mode continuously for 10 straight minutes, then it will revert back to normal mode. And that's something that I've never experienced before, because usually on other e-bikes, if you leave it at one setting, it usually stays in one setting. But this one is restricted. Not sure exactly why. But anyway, really comfortable bike to ride. Like I said before, this is one of those bikes that you ride if you want to haul stuff, like if you're grocery shopping or you got errands to run. This is your go-to bike. Its construction is super rugged, and it's got some really great shocks, so the suspension is definitely awesome as well. Giving it a try here, seems to work pretty well. The front suspension does make a little bit of sound, but that's with all e-bikes these days. I haven't ridden an e-bike yet with front suspension that hasn't made those noises. But anyway, standing on it right now, as you can see, front handlebars are pretty high up, and this is pretty cool. I actually like this. Kind of reminds me of riding a motorcycle. But anyway, speaking of motorcycle, this is more a motorcycle. I should say these new e-bikes are more motorcycles than they are bicycles. Yeah, it does have pedals, but quite honestly, who the heck is going to use it for pedals? Anyway, I'm in sport mode doing a 27 miles an hour down a hill, slight hill I should say. Let's cross over and make a left turn here. But yeah, I don't really think that this will do 31 miles an hour. I think it'll do 27, 28 max on a good day. Alright, so while I was waiting for the light to turn, it went back to normal mode. So I'm trying to put it back into sport mode. It goes into eco, but it will not go back to sport mode. And that's one of the oddities that I discovered about this bike that you should know about. So right now I got the throttle pinned. As you can see on my thumb, it's got a thumb throttle. That's a tongue twister. And it's currently pinned, doing 23 miles an hour. Expected this bike to be a bit faster than that, considering it's got 2 batteries and a 750 motor. That's a 1,000 watt peak. But even with the bikes that do 30 miles an hour, I hardly ever ride them at 30 miles an hour because it's freaking scary as heck. So to me, it really doesn't matter. But I know you guys sitting at home who buy this bike, you may or may not be happy with the speed, but I really don't care, to be honest with you. The good news is it picks up speed really fast, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's talk about some of the cool things about this bike. Well, you already know I'm a big fan of the brakes because they're hydraulic. They stop really, really quickly. It has a lot of bite. And we're going to be going down a hill, and I think this bike is going to pick up some serious speed. We'll probably be doing about 35 miles an hour going down this hill. And then I'll be able to test out the brakes for you and let you know what's what. But just riding in regular roads like I am right now, they feel pretty good. Hydraulic is always a better choice than mechanical. And then, if you can see, the road underneath me is pretty bumpy. And so that's where the 3 shocks come into play. The center shock, that's smaller than the other ones, not adjustable. And then the 2 shocks that kind of look like motorcycle shocks, those are air shocks. If you buy a pump specifically for the shocks, you could probably adjust them to your needs, but they are firm for me. I'm trying to get a little bounce out of the rear shocks, and it's really difficult to do. But there's a lot of movement in the front where it really counts. Bumps on the road are easily absorbed though. I have no issues whatsoever with that. I have a lot of experience riding e-bikes and scooters and whatnot, and some of them have had shocks, some of them haven't, and I've experienced some really good stuff and some really terrible stuff. And I would say that this is definitely on the higher end, because almost no one includes front hydraulic shocks or rear air shocks for that matter. So I'm going to take you guys along a path that I typically take e-bikes through. We're going to be going down a really, really steep hill, and then on the way back we're going to be going up that steep hill. The hill that I'm in right now, it's a small tiny hill, but we're doing about 18 miles an hour. And I'm also pedaling. So the pedal assist on this bike works really well, which I'll talk to you guys more in a little bit. If you're looking at the price tag of this bike, they're pricing it at $16.99. There may be a coupon or not, but for $16.99, I think you're getting a lot. Number one, you're getting hydraulic brakes. Good quality hydraulic brakes. And then number 2, you're getting some really good suspension works. And number 3, you're getting 2 batteries. With both batteries combined, over 22 amp hours. And so you might be wondering what the range of this bike is with the 22 amp hour batteries. ENGWE claims the range is 90 plus miles. Before this review, I took it out for a long ride, and I think I did about 25 or 35 miles. And by the time I got back, I had about 60 or 70% battery life left. I'm not 100% sure what the range or the battery life was, but I'll put a screenshot up for you so this way you can see. So I would definitely say with a full charge, riding it like a normal person would, not in the lowest setting and definitely not in sport mode, I think you can comfortably ride this bike for about 50 miles. But if you're the type that only does like a Sunday cruise, I think close to 90 miles is doable if you're going to put it in pedal assist number 1 and you're going to do like 10 miles an hour. I think it's definitely doable where you can get close to 90 miles on it. But for someone like me who just wants to ride the bike from point A to point B and not waste too much time, because quite honestly, this bike is meant for that. It's meant to do errands or grocery shopping or hauling stuff, or maybe you're delivering for Uber Eats or whatever. This is the perfect bike for that. Its construction is super rugged. Its seat is very, very comfortable. And this is the hill I was talking about. So we're doing 25 miles an hour, 26, 27, 28, 31, 32, 34, 35, 36, 37. Holy shit. Stop sign's coming up. Yeah, so 37 miles an hour. Woo! So we're going to be going back up this hill on the way back, okay? Because quite honestly, I haven't done it before. I'm really curious to find out how well it does, or maybe not. Maybe it sucks. Anyway, you'll find out. In case you're curious, I got 70% battery life left, and I have both batteries turned on. Now, let's talk about the screen. It tells you your speed in miles per hour or kilometers per hour. Of course, that can be changed depending on the country you live. Top right-hand side tells you what percentage of battery life you have remaining. And if you decide to turn one of your batteries off when you stop at a red light or whatever, or you just pull over just to turn it off, you can, and the battery meter will adjust and show a new battery level for the remaining battery that you have left on. And then other features are a trip meter, because in this entire trip I've done 4.3 miles, 4.4 now. It also tells you how much power the motor is outputting. So right now it's outputting 1170 watts. And it also has an odometer. The odometer, or total miles, total distance, is 44 miles. That's how many miles I've ridden this bike in total. So overall, pretty cool screen. Nice weather today. Everybody's looking at me like, is this guy riding a motorcycle or is this an e-bike? Because they see a helmet on my head. Normally you don't see people riding e-bikes or bicycles with a full motorcycle helmet and talking to themselves. This guy's weird, man. I'll shut up for a minute. I want you guys to listen to the bike. See if you can hear the hub motor. Let's test out the suspension. Ooh. Cool. Can we get through this? Let's find out. Yeah! Yeah, so the reason why I wanted you to hear the hub motor is because I wanted to demonstrate how quiet this bike is. You hear more of the tires on the pavement than anything else. Now, let's talk about something that I have a pet peeve about most of these e-bikes, and that is the pedaling. Some e-bikes have pedal assist that I loathe. I hate. And then other e-bikes have something called dead pedaling. And I'm really, really happy to say that this bike does not suffer from either of those diseases. Seriously guys, I hate that. Dead pedaling absolutely sucks. Dead pedaling is when you're riding the bike and it's reached its maximum speed. If the maximum speed is 30 miles an hour, it's doing 20 miles an hour. And at that point, no matter how hard you pedal, the bike is not doing anything. It's not going faster and you're just pedaling for no absolute reason. But this bike does not have that issue. As an example, right now I'm pedaling. I'm in pedal assist number 5. So even if I pedal as hard as I want, this will reach its top speed and then stay there, and I still have resistance on my pedals. So there's no dead pedaling with this. And that's one of the coolest things ever, because I can't stand bikes that have dead pedaling, because at that point it's not functional. And then there are other bikes where the pedal assist really doesn't kick on until you really pedal fast. And then all of a sudden you get assistance from the motor. Not with this bike, because you can get pedal assist to kick on the motor really quickly. All you need is 1 or 2 revolutions, and then all of a sudden the power kicks in. That's one of the biggest selling points. Not only does it have cool shocks, but it's got hydraulic brakes, no dead pedaling, and pedal assist that actually functions well. Anyway, we are at that crazy hill that we went down on before, and I'm currently at 64% battery life, and I'm not using pedal assist anymore, at least. I'm using pure power mode. So 12.7, 13, 12.2, 12.1, 11.8, 11.5, 10.9, 10.6, 10.3, 9.9, 9.3. Yeah, it's struggling. 8.7. It's time to kick in pedal assist. So I'm doing 10 miles an hour up this hill, and I'm not exactly losing my breath. Let me see if I can lower the gear. Yeah. See, less resistance, but pedal assist still works. Look at that. I brought it all the way to number 3 now. I'm not even pedaling crazy hard, and this thing is continuing to go. Alright, so with the hill test concluded, if you want like crazy speeds going up a hill like 20 miles an hour, this is not your bike. But if you want to make it up this hill gracefully without losing your breath and sweating bullets, then this is your bike. Let's pull over here and conclude this review. We'll slide out the rear end here in style. Yeah. So what do I think of this bike? Let's talk about some of the negatives. I would say that it's super heavy, really heavy. The second negative I have is this folding mechanism. It's pointless. the folding mechanism is not used to make the bike portable. I think that's just used to put the battery inside, and that's pretty much it. Third negative I have is this area here. There's supposed to be a seat here, but it's at home at the moment. I couldn't be bothered with it because it was a pain in the ass to install, and I just left it out for now. But I think this is perfect for like a milk crate. This way you can go grocery shopping, because as I mentioned before, this is the perfect hauler bike. You always see people riding this bike when they're doing deliveries, so this thing could do thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. I don't think you can ever break this bike, because this thing is built like a tank. As far as the positives, I like the shocks in the front, in the rear, in the center. Well, the center shock is okay. It's not all that exciting, but the front and the rear, definitely awesome. And then you have the hydraulic brakes. As I mentioned, these things really stop well. And then it's also nice to have a 22 amp hour battery. And then lastly, if you're a big and tall person, I think I got the best bike for you, because with the adjustability of the front handlebar as well as the seat, I don't think it really matters how tall you are. You can be 6'5" and you can still be comfortable in something like this. I know this is a motorcycle channel, but once in a while when companies send me cool things like this, I like to review it on the channel. Plus it's got 2 wheels and it has a motor in the back, so it's kind of like a motorcycle with pedals. Anyway, check you out on the next episode. Peace.